Insert royalty-free, super joyful song.
Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. When Jesus was.
So this is the release I know many of us have been waiting for quite a while. It's the largest release in a while, and certainly the most interesting. This big book here is huge, bigger than I thought it was going to be. They did say it was only going to be rules, but for this just to be rules, there's a lot of rules. So I wonder if there is any lore and background in this, or whether it is literally just a big chunk of rules. I'm not going to do a deep dive into this book today because it'd be really boring for you to watch me just read a book on stream. But if you do fancy watching me read a book on stream, I'm sure I could set one up. But personally, I think you could watch paint dry, which actually is what you do sometimes when you watch my modelling videos. So maybe you would, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just going to have a quick flick at the contents so you can see what's inside. Then we'll move on to the models, and I will do a deep dive into this once I've had a chance to read it and digest it and think about who the winners and losers are, all that kind of nice fun rules like jam. So our Liber Strategia, or Liber Strategia, or however you want to pronounce it. It is purely rules. Look at that. Starting at the top, going all the way down, rules throughout. With a showcase at the end of each one, which is very important. So there we are. I suppose technically that bit here is fluff and lore, that one little paragraph. But other than that, we do go straight into the army list, which is fantastic. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of rules to go through, and I will enjoy doing that without wasting your time with it. So I'll put this away for now, and at some point I'll give you a nice breakdown. In the meantime though, let's look at the models. And I use the term model loosely because are these models? I don't know, I suppose technically, in that they're not really ordered tokens, the models are ordered. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to open them. I've seen the videos and screenshots of the Horus Heresy ones, and they were on sprues, so I'm expecting this to be on sprues, as much as I would not like them to be. I'd like them to be that kind of slightly brittler plastic that comes from China, that means they all get to be separated when they arrive here. But as it says here that this is a Nottingham product, I expect that means I've got a lot of trimming and cutting to do, and I do indeed have a lot of trimming and cutting to do, and probably painting as well, because there is very little relief on those. So I think, yeah, I mean, they are pretty, don't get me wrong, but they are going to need trimming and painting. Probably color code the different symbols. I reckon you don't need much. You probably just need a spray of black and then dry brush it with a kind of grayish color, and then dry brush it again with white or whatever color you want to represent the symbols. But as you can see on this video, without that spray and dry brush, I don't suppose it's going to be very obvious what they are, unless you fancy reading the braille of them. But, they're a million times better already than the little papery ones that came in the pack. So yeah, I'm happy with these. I'm not as happy as I could have been if they'd come out earlier, if they'd been included in the box, and if they'd, come already broken up with, so I didn't have to clean up all the edges. But as a piece, they're fine. I don't suppose for each game people are going to memorize the exact dry brush pattern that happens to be on each one and metagame what's under everyone's order tokens. And to be honest, if you do fancy doing that in the space of a game, then all power to you. You deserve it, you heretic. So I'll put those aside for now, and let's move on to the definitely models. And I'm going to start with the Cerberus, or Cerberus, heavy tank destroyer squadron. Like most of the bigger tanks, Sicarans and Kratos, etc., we get 4 of these, which is nice. Oh, they look good on the back. They are just I know that's what they are in big scale as well, but they are just Spartans with massive guns on the front, which is nice. I like Spartans and I like big guns, and I cannot lie. Inside, it is the classic 2 identical sprue, allowing you to build 4 identical models. I say identical, there's probably a few minor variations in terms of which way around the handles are and which way around the guns are pointing, stuff like that. But generally speaking, you're looking at 2 identical models there, and the classic by now Legion's transfer sheet. Out of interest, this Cerberus is labelled 2025, so it's quite a recent model. It's not like they've been sitting on this for a long time. I know some of the knights had much older dates on them, so it looked like they've been sitting on them since the days of Adeptus Titanicus. But these at least are relatively new, which is good. It's a positive sign that they are still actively developing for the game. So there's the Cerberus. I'm going to rattle through these because I don't know about you, but I want to watch everyone else's breakdowns of the books, all those nice fancy people who have deals with Games Workshop. That means they get the books early. If you want to help me be one of those nice fancy people who gets to have the books early, then please like and subscribe and comment. Help out the algorithm, because I think you need about 10,000 followers before they even consider you as a partner. So, you know, I'm a quarter of the way there. So keep liking, subscribing, sharing this to your friends and your enemies to get me on that sweet, sweet early model and book list. These are the Typhons. These as well are based on the Spartan chassis. So I'm expecting a very similar sprue. I'll get the 2 next to each other to compare in a moment, as usual. Instruction manual and sprue. As usual, 2 identical ones, so let's compare it to the Cerberus. Oh no, they aren't very similar at all. They've optimized the space in a completely different way, which is interesting. God, CAD's fun. So, nicely optimized space, very little wasted space, which is nice. I do wonder, looking at these, there are enough bits that are the same that I wonder if they would have been able to get them in one box with spares. It doesn't really matter much, it would, because obviously we'd still have to choose which one we built it as. So you wouldn't, it's not like you'd get double the models, but you'd have spare weapons for kit bashing and stuff. But looking at it, they might have been able to squeeze the neutron cannons there into these little gaps here with a bit of tightening up, but maybe not, and maybe that's why they were separated. In any case, it's a very pretty kit and should be very, very fun to build and paint. Yeah, where are the... So there's one of the cannons. Oh, and there's the big cannons facing forward. Ooh, cannons facing forward. That means you don't have to drill out the gun barrels. Interesting. If you want to drill out the gun barrels on your epic scale models, you're insane and I love you. I do have a video about it. It is not a serious one. Let's try moving swiftly on to our smaller tanks. We're doing this in the American date format of starting with the medium one, then going to the small one, and then we'll go to the biggest one, because that makes sense. So in this we've got 4 Whirlwinds and 4 Scorpius. Again, they don't have the options, so we're not going to have a lot of spare bits, I imagine. I wonder if it will be a sprue of each, or whether each one will build 2 of each. I'm imagining each one will build 2 of each, or else they would have just sold them as separate kits and got more money. Let's find out. Oh, I didn't just realize I didn't check the date on these. It is 2025 on that one, and it was 2025 on this one. So yes, so far, all 2025 models, brand new, hot off the press. Lovely instruction manual. And Yep, 2 of each on each sprue. So 2 of the Scorpius and 2 of the Whirlwind per sprue. And they are just like building little rhinos, even down to the teeny tiny chimney stacks. They should be very fun to build indeed. Rhinos are incredibly fiddly, but you know, we're building Warhammer at 8mm scale. If you don't want fiddly, what are you doing here? You know, fiddly is what we do. Here is the same sheet as the others. I imagine that's going to be the same for all of these little tanks. Penultimately, here is the Vindicator Siege Tank Squadron. Again, we've got 8. Now this one, it is just 8 Vindicators though. There's no alternate build for this one, probably because the hull-mounted Demolish Cannon needed a bit more space by itself. Because, again, I imagine that cannon is facing front, so we don't need to drill the barrels. I say need to as if anyone's going to come and arrest you if you don't drill the barrels. I mean, I might, but... Interestingly, I don't drill barrels at 28mm. I can't be bothered. But at 8mm, I don't know, it seems the right thing to do. Got everything? Yep. Yet again, we've got a nice 2025 sprue, just like all of them so far have been 2025 sprues, which is very positive in terms of knowing that they're recent molds. 2 identical sprue, as always. And yeah, forward facing Demolish Cannons, which is very sexy indeed. And yet again, basically teeny tiny rhinos, just minor variants in the doors and chassis. But they are very, very nice. I am looking forward to these. Which leaves us, after all of these little tanks, with the star of the show. The star of the show being the Mastodon Super Heavy Assault Transports. I would like you to imagine what would happen if I told myself even 3 years ago, in 3 years, you're going to go to just your local game store, you know, HLS models, the legends that they are. If anyone's in the South East London area and fancies some cheap Warhammer from a friendly local game store, go see HLS models. We are not sponsored or in any kind of official partnership, but we have been discussing it. So next time there's a nice big tank release, it has been offered that the wonderful Dale at HLS Models will donate one of these boxes to the channel to go away to one of you lovely people watching. So if that sounds like something you'd like to do, and then I'll just say and sing his praises even more than I already do, if such thing is possible. And we'll get some partnership going on. Warhammer, the Horus Heresy, Legions Imperialis, Mastodons. You're going to go to your local game store and purchase 4 Mastodons, and then you will own 4 Mastodons. Here we go. I'm impressed they managed to fit them on 2 sprue, because some of the bigger tanks, like the Karachnos, actually didn't quite fit on 2 sprue. They didn't charge any more for them, thankfully, but you know, they did come with that extra bonus sprue. And yet still they only give us 2 Storm Eagles for some reason, but that's neither here nor there. We have 2 Mastodons equipped with melter arrays, Sky Reaper batteries, sponsor-mounted heavy flamers, and either sponsor-mounted lads cannons or sponsor-mounted heavy bolters. Let's have a look and see what these sprues look like. That is a chunky piece. That might be bigger than the Thunderhawk bits, or at least very similar. I mean, the Mastodon is basically a Thunderhawk with wheels, or treads, I suppose more accurately. But yeah, so that's I suppose by having just such big flat pieces, they were able to squeeze everything they needed on here. I don't know about the meta of this, but I might well build the heavy flamers, because I think the only models with heavy flamers at the moment are the land speeders, like the Proteus land speeders, I think have heavy flamers. And they're nice, we need more flamers. Alternatively, I might save these bits and use them for some salamander conversions. Like I know they've got the flamers from the Auxilia kit, but these are much more Space Marine-y heavy flamers, which look very nice indeed. Lovely. These are going to be very fun and are probably going to be the first things I build. And of course, the usual treat. I'm assuming this is also 2025. It is. We've got another 2025 mold, which means all of these are 2025. I didn't check. One thing I didn't check was the tokens. That would be interesting, whether the tokens were 2025 or should have been out there. These are also 2025, so it's not like they had these but didn't release them for some reason. They just hadn't built them. Maybe they didn't realize how bad the paperwork was going to be. I know paper printing and Chinese printing was a big reason for the delay to begin with, so maybe they were just caught blind with those, and we didn't end up with the proper die cut ones we should have had. So these are a nice, you know, either a bit late and a bit bland, a nice replacement. I'd say if you've already got your own 3D printed ones, or you've already laminated the ones from the main box with those sort of sticky gooey dot things, then you're probably fine. You don't need these. I haven't done that, never got around to it, so I think I am gonna enjoy these. I wonder, they are all only joined on two sides, which is actually not bad. I thought we'd gonna have some with three, which means you'd need clippers, but with only two, you might, if they've made it thin enough, I'm gonna risk it on a fallback, because I never fall back. Just doing a classic spin, pushing it out. That's not bad. Might not even need much of this. Alright, might not take forever. Okay, that's better than if you needed to get the clippers out. Yeah. Okay, that might be therapeutic to do while watching something on TV. Alright, I'll let them off. Nice to have. Glad we've got them. Wish they had some inking or relief already on them. But, you know, can't complain. Well, actually, I can. Of course I can. And you should too. You should complain in the comments and drive up the engagement. So thank you everyone for watching. Tried to keep this to my usual kind of like 15, 17 minute short video just to go through the releases. My next task is to read the hell out of that book and tell you exactly what it says. In the meantime, I've seen that Goonhammer have some great write-ups of theirs. Maximal Fire have just released theirs. I'm sure all the other channels will get there as well. So yeah, do look around, get their opinions. I certainly will be, and then I'll be forming my own, and then you can tell us all how we interpreted it and what we got right, what we got wrong. In the meantime though, thank you to all my patrons. As always, you're lovely, sexy people. If you'd like to join us over there, request some videos, chat about the rules, get the most up-to-date versions of my Tyrannid Army PDF that I'm working on. And there's a couple of discount codes for some partners that I've just started working with, so I haven't put the codes on this yet, but I might if I find it and stick it in the chat at the bottom. But in the meantime, of course, the most important thing is to make sure that you are still building, painting, buying this range, so we can show the naysayers that they shouldn't be saying nay any more than a horse should. And of course, peace and love to you all, and keep on lip bashing.